Breaking tonight, Donald Trump sends a letter to Mark Carney threatening a 35% tariff on Canada.
We should now be hit, all goods coming from Canada, with an additional 35% tariff. And this is one of the many that Donald Trump, according to these letters he's sending around to different countries.
Canada just detonated a geopolitical energy bomb. On June 30th, 2025, for the first time in modern history, Canadian liquefied natural gas bypassed its southern neighbor entirely and sailed straight to Asia. What was once unthinkable has now become a defining moment in energy geopolitics. For decades, nearly all of Canada's gas flowed through U.S. pipelines. That era is over. This isn't just about fuel, it's about sovereignty, leverage, and sending a message. Canada's first direct shipment of LNG to Asia came aboard the gas log Glasgow, carrying over 2.6 million tons of high-grade gas bound for Yokohama, Japan. And this wasn't a fluke. It was the start of a new playbook, one that sidelines American infrastructure and redirects Canadian power across the Pacific. The move comes in the wake of mounting tariff tension. In March 2025, the Trump administration slapped a 10% tariff on Canadian energy exports, citing national security. That policy triggered fierce backlash in Ottawa. Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet didn't just push back diplomatically, they accelerated LNG exports at full tilt. Welcome to Kitimat, British Columbia, home of LNG Canada, a $40 billion marvel designed to chill, compress, and export massive quantities of natural gas to overseas buyers. Built with 7 years of sweat, steel, and strategic partnerships, it's now the launchpad for a redefined Canadian energy identity. Canada isn't just reacting, it's rewriting the global supply chain. Asia's hunger for LNG is relentless. Japan is scaling up its LNG intake to offset nuclear and coal retirements. South Korea is bolstering its gas storage by 50% over the next decade. China, eyeing energy security amid an unstable global market, has locked in multi-year contracts from various suppliers, and now includes Canada on that list. For over 3 decades, Canada sent roughly 8.8 billion cubic feet per day across the U.S. border, amounting to nearly $8 billion annually. But under the strain of tariffs, erratic trade policies, and political risk, Canadian producers were forced to question a hard truth. Can you really trust your biggest customer if they're also your loudest critic? The LNG Canada project offers something Washington can't: direct access to Pacific markets without the detour. What once took nearly 3 weeks through the Panama Canal now takes 10 days max, and bypasses choke points and political drama. And this isn't just about speed, it's about control. A British Columbia gas technician put it bluntly, "For years we were stuck. Every barrel went south. Now we've got options." And that changes everything. And everything is changing. The LNG Canada terminal operates 2 liquefaction trains producing up to 14 million tons per year, powered by hydroelectricity, giving it one of the lowest emissions profiles globally. Environmentalists took note. So did Asia's top importers. Japan, South Korea, and China have each signaled interest in expanding their contracts. Japan wants 20 million more tons annually by 2026. South Korea is eyeing long-term deals to hedge against Middle Eastern instability. And China, still wary of overdependence on Russian gas, sees Canadian LNG as a stable pillar in its evolving energy mix. It gets bigger. Phase 2 of LNG Canada is already on the table, with a target of doubling capacity to 28 million tons. If successful, Canada would leap into the top 5 LNG exporters globally, joining Qatar, Australia, and the US. But here's the twist. While the US is busy taxing its allies, Canada is signing joint ventures with them. The indigenous Haisla Nation isn't just involved, they hold equity. Over $5.8 billion in local contracts were awarded during construction. The model isn't just ethical, it's bankable. Energy buyers want ESG-compliant sources. Canada's blend of environmental safeguards and indigenous partnerships makes it uniquely competitive. Meanwhile, Trump isn't happy. According to insiders, the White House views Canada's Asia pivot as a strategic insult. And the numbers explain why. Every cargo ship that skips the U.S. slashes demand for American gas and leaves Gulf Coast terminals chasing new buyers. Even minor shifts in global LNG flows can swing prices and reshape long-term contracts. The U.S. once assumed it had a lock on Canadian energy. That assumption is now shattered. The new trade map sees Canada linked to Yokohama, Busan, Shanghai, and Singapore. Washington, just one of many customers, no longer the only one. Environmental policy also tilts in Canada's favor. As nations roll out carbon border adjustments, cleaner gas gets premium pricing. U.S. terminals powered by fossil fuels can't compete. Canada's hydro-powered facilities give it the upper hand. Buyers aren't just shopping for energy anymore. They're shopping for sustainability. And yet, this isn't guaranteed victory. Canada's infrastructure must scale fast, permitting must accelerate, and global competition looms. Qatar is ramping up capacity. Australia is modernizing its ports. But with its Pacific Advantage, ESG profile, and strategic alliances, Canada has what few energy exporters do: credibility. LNG is no longer just a commodity. It's a diplomatic tool, a stabilizer, a sword and a shield, and Canada is learning to wield it. As the next fleet of tankers leaves Kitimat, the message is clear. Canada is done playing second fiddle. The pipeline south may stay open, but the eyes are now fixed eastward. And for the U.S., this isn't just a supply shift. It's a wake-up call, because when your closest neighbor no longer needs your ports, your pipelines, or your permission, you're not the hub anymore. You're just an option. Hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Is this the beginning of a new global LNG order? And is the US ready for it?